Let's talk about something that I've written before. Why not? I was about to talk about something else, and then I was like, I don't know. Let's talk about. Uh, let's talk about a picture I once saw. Two monks. One of them was basically sobbing and upset, and the other one was like smiling blissfully. And the first monk is literally responding with, "Oh my God, none of this makes sense." That's the vibe. None of this makes sense. And he's just like looking, and both of them are sitting like facing the same direction. The other monk is literally looking at the same things and smiling and going like, "It doesn't, does it?" And right now, I'm learning about a certain library, and so I am kind of like I woke up with a different kind of like setup mentality. Like the meeting the other day I did with with the woman that's building her. Like that, I think that's what inspiration kind of like is. But I'm kind of like weirded out by it. I don't know why, because the way she's approaching things and the way she's moving was very much like is very much uh, made me connect more with what I'm doing. And I don't know if this is what inspiration is, because she didn't kind of like inspire me to start doing something, but she did inspire that connection within myself. And I'm saying this very openly because like when I started thinking of things differently because of that, I realized that that's me like kind of like linking with that's me basically standing in my way probably, or that's me kind of like reliving a certain fear that I had before where I'm kind of like where things didn't work out and I'm like like what if and these kinds of things happen. And that logic trailed into a couple of things, and I wrote like one of the notes that I wrote, and that we will get to it at one point. But the note was literally like, tea, quality tea, and quality tea. Tea with least quality is basically like you take it and you just like in the bag and you drip it in water, and then suddenly the whole water is kind of like colored, and yeah, you have tea. But the tea with good quality, you have to wait like 5 minutes for it and shit like this. And it got me thinking in different things. So I take the note because I don't want to come and start speaking about it directly. What I want to do is I want to allow it to process. And when I see the note, I think about what the fuck was I thinking back then. And then I process it differently and I try to explain how my notes is. So I level up on note taking and I level up on the explaining part, or on the actual thought process, the idea. The goal is to actually process it. But for now, it's just like I felt like I needed to kind of like while I was learning, I felt like there's a bit of like I'm learning something new, and instantly like a past memory of specifically like the drama that's been happening the past month kind of like came back to me and made me feel like a bit more aggressive. And I think that's my excitement, right? Because I learned something new, as like I figured it out and I explained it to myself, and I'm like, oh, okay. So as I'm going through this library and like experiencing different, I decided to take notes about it. And while I'm taking the note, it felt real. And then I saw myself standing up and going to the kitchen. And then all of that basically kind of like resulted in me thinking about like certain like times when I was like excited. But like, excitement and anxiety are the same fucking feeling. They're just expressed differently. And I realized that maybe sometimes I actually miss the two, or like kind of like misconstrue the two, and logic itself doesn't really like transfer the difference in emotion and the emotional state, because like it's the same feeling but it's a different emotional state. But so I realized that my reaction to learning something new was a bit more on the anxious side instead of the excited, let me finish it and get it over with. And while I was doing this, it kind of like clicked in my head that picture of the two monks. And I figured, man, the reason why I would want to have this conversation is probably because the the woman that I met 3 days ago was very much not really taking life seriously, but being serious about everything she does in it. And literally following her, like following whatever she has to do, and things kind of like pile up 1 week, 2 weeks. Again, like it's a surreal. It was surreal for me to kind of make that connection with myself because that's literally how I've been flowing the past couple of months to a year, if not more. And there are times where it was like fucking rough, but like the time that I actually, and I'm grateful, for example, let's use this as a term of gratitude. Because if it wasn't for the guy that told me to work in e-commerce with him, I would have probably kept staying the in my parents' house. And being there, it's not like I wasn't feeling very productive. It was like, no, my train of thought was not exposed enough for me to be able to pile my thinking process in certain ways. I had a certain safety, a certain consistency, and a certain comfort. Don't get me wrong, I was coding and I was building my website and everything. But the reason I was able to finish my website is because I wanted to finish the website to start working with the guy. So when he said, I want to work with you, I was like, head on, finish the website so we can actually work together. So it's fascinating how everything that's kind of like that triggers the change is the actual change you want. And these are never triggers that end in a way that you handle. It's all about how you handle the ending because they are expected to end. And the more serious we take them, the less serious we take what we're doing. But the reality is, everything isn't serious except for what we're doing. And so, do everything. That's like it's reminding me more of an Alan Watts approach to life, like dance through it and actually like wave through it. And again, like these are things that already exist in my head, but for some reason now they're kind of like being absorbed as an essence from me, as a more like it's super cute. It's the feeling that I'm having right now. It's kind of like super cute. But the actual transformation of from logic to emotion, from rational to feeling, is happening right now. And I think that's kind of like what people getting over things slash healing start slash evolving really truly is. Because when you're actually leveling up, you're looking at life differently. And you have to kind of like accept that. And you have to accept how you are slowly, how everything in front of you is looking different because your reality is changing. And this perception that's kind of unique to us is literally dictated by us. And so to go back to the monks, when both of them are agreeing that nothing makes sense, one guy is frustrated by it while the other guy is blissful about it. I feel that's the duality of our existence because most of the time you're going to look at things in a way that's not frustrated. And then you're going to realize, huh, I'm sorry, they're going to look at things in a way that's very like, it doesn't make sense. What the fuck? It's a frustrating like way of looking at things. And then like, doesn't it always happen when you eventually go like, it doesn't make sense. What the fuck? Right? It's kind of like the rite of passage, maybe rite of transition. And our goal as we level up and as we evolve is more to slowly kind of like to handle situations and see how the patterns of our transition from like what's going on to like, of course, what's going on to from like it's like what would I do in this situation to like what would I do in this situation, right? To oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. It's like I can't believe this is happening again. What do I do, right? Like it's just like to be just an actual to to close your involvement in life the way life throws itself at you, not close, to shorten the distance of the patterns of your involvement, which normally tend to be emotional patterns or tend to be like direct involved subjective patterns, to kind of more of a regardless all of everything, nothing matters, it doesn't make sense, everyone's going to die, every other person at one point is going to kind of like go through shit. And it really just uniquely only matters if you're handling things the way you're handling things. And so as you're experiencing growth, you're doing things differently, better, and ultimately like shortening the patterns so you don't consume. It's all about the energy you consume. And so like there's efficiency and effectiveness. When you're efficient, you consume it with the least bit of energy. When you're effective, you're consuming it with the least amount of time, I think. Or something. If we are to transfer them, maybe I should actually have a conversation, the difference between the actual, like the energetic difference between efficiency and effectiveness. Because effective is getting things done regardless of how, but you get things done, while efficiently, like with like the least amount of effort, least amount of energy, least amount of time. So both of them are good, but your plan is always to be more efficient. Okay, so there's no need for a full conversation about this. But so you'd always want to be more efficient, but you have to start by being effective. And then slowly you get better at being effective until you're efficient at being effective. And it is true, like nothing makes sense and nothing really matters. But that's literally why everything matters and everything makes sense. And being present means being able to like handle things with the smallest amount of energy and being able to level yourself up to be that person that kind of like whatever comes your way gets your attention, but also gets exactly as much attention as it deserves. And then kind of like being able to kind of jump to the next thing that needs your attention. And most of the time, you get to choose if you're going to give your attention or not, because, like, again, you decide from a small scale to a big scale. And learning how to say yes and learning how to say no are two different skills. They're separate skills. And maybe that would be like a conversation for later. But anyways, I just felt like I wanted to like have this conversation while I'm studying. So like we'll see how it goes the rest of the day. Thank you.